Yo everyone, quick run through on how I usually do frame by frame animation. So you can see over here I've got the pencils for a walk cycle, and if I go image, auto tone, or image, auto contrast or color, you'll be able to see them a bit more clearly. They're out of order right now. Anyways, I like to draw my stuff by hand. You can do it with a Wacom tablet if you prefer. But I've done this by hand, I've scanned it in, so I'm going to rotate these two images over here, image rotation, 90 degrees. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to auto tone them a bit so that the black pops out a little more. And then I'm going to go on the side over here, create a new layer under each of these. This is just for cleanup for myself. I'll drag this to the bottom. Select this layer and I'm just cleaning up the edges a bit, like so. And if I go to the other one over here, I'll do the same thing. I'm just getting rid of the exterior. Now this next step, you only have to really follow this if you feel like it. I prefer doing it this way, but I like only having one color in the scene. So I don't like this sort of white that hangs in on the background, because sometimes it can be gray as well, like over there is a gray splodge. So I prefer just having the black. So in order to get just the black and to remove all other color, I'll go select color range, I'll click on the white like that, I'll put the fuzziness to about 90 and have this on selection. I click OK. And then I just go delete, and bam, now there's only black in the scene. And I'll go and do the same over here, color range, select the back, do that. The other thing I want to do is I can also adjust the threshold by going to image, adjustments, threshold, and this just helps the black to, you can sort of customize how much you want it to pop. For now, I'm just going to stick with, I think 140 should be okay. Zoom in, make sure that's fine. I think I'll go with 128 as the default. So image, adjustments, threshold, 128. And I'll do the same over here. Image, adjustments, threshold, 128. So now I'm going to create a new Photoshop document. But before I do that, I just want to check what my canvas size is over here in pixels. 3507 2480. 3507 2480. And I'm going to drag in all these other guys here into this new document I've just made on Photoshop, but I'm going to do it one at a time. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to take this square selection tool up here, this sort of rectangular selection tool, select him while I've got his layer selected on the side, and now I'll be able to drag him around like this. And I can summa drag him and chuck him in here. So that's one down. I'll get the next one. So I'll just select that rectangular selection option and drag this guy in. And I'm just going to pause here and jump through to once I've got them all in and in order. Okay, so I've done my Naruto Shadow Clone Jutsu and I've brought everyone in. They're a little bit out of order. I've named them according to their position. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm just going to take a bit to reorganize this and get them all on the same sort of level. And I'll do that by clicking on this top ruler area and bringing a line down. This way I'll make sure they're all on the same plane. This is just me dragging them one by one. Just going to make sure that he is standing on that line. Now I'll get the next guy, just move him on that line, and so on. And here they all are sort of level. Okay, and now that I've got all of these guys level, I'm going to bring in another ruler, and I'm going to sort of get them to be, I kind of want to put their head in the middle of this ruler. So I'll just almost select this guy and drag him out a bit here. I'm just going to try my best to align them all vertically. Okay, so I've now got everybody aligned completely. It looks like some sort of horrible spaghetti monster, some Lovecraftian Cthulhian abomination. But anyways, now that I've got all these guys stacked, I'm not too bothered about coloring them, because this is just for demonstration purposes. But if you guys want to color your stuff, usually you would have them all colored and sort of readied up before you drag them into the scene, like this. But anyways, I'm just going to go over creating the frame animation. So, window. And there should be a timeline down here. I've got mine with a little check mark because it's currently up already. But if yours doesn't show up on the screen, you just go window, timeline, and you click on this. And it should pop up for you. So I'm going to click on create new frame animation, boink. So this is the first frame. And I'm going to change this to 0.1 seconds. And I'm going to change this from once to forever. So this is how many times your animation will play. You can either have it play once or you can have it keep looping. And I prefer to have it keep looping over. This little thing here is the time between each frame, how much time this frame will take up. So currently it's 0.1 seconds. I'm just going to hide everyone else because this is the first frame. I want the first picture to show. I'll have the second frame. I'll make the second picture show. Now I'll click on this button to make another frame. Have the third guy show up. Another frame where we'll have the fourth. Another where we'll have the fifth. Another where I will show the sixth, seventh, and eighth. So you can see John Wick is busy doing his walk over here now. And because I've got this set to forever, it'll keep going. If I set it to once, we'll just play the animation once. 3 times, we'll just play it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. But I'm going to keep this on forever. And now that we've got Mr. Jonathan Vik Zababayaga up here, I'm just going to check very carefully to make sure that this is sort of smooth. I'm just looking at this foot as it moves back. See there, that foot sort of, it looks like it dips a bit. So maybe we should add some ground as well. So I'll make a new layer and I will, let's right click, get a rectangle, and we'll just sort chuck it down there. I'm going to use my move tool to bring it up a little bit, just so that it cushions his heel. Bam, we've now got a bit of a ground. And it will automatically display in all of the frames, although here I see there's some movement, and I'm not sure why it's doing that necessarily. There we go, that's a bit better. Okay, so now he's walking on the ground. We've got a bit of a reference to look at. But I can still see some of these frames are slightly off. So just make sure when you're drawing or Wacom tableting your frames that you get your measurements 100% accurate. Otherwise you'll end up with this sort of repercussion that you see over here, where this foot's actually going through the ground. But hopefully this is good enough. Yep, there we go. So now that I've got him busy doing his walk, and I've listed the poses up here as well, just for demonstration. You see contact down, passing up, contact down, passing up. I can also change the time. So if I want his walk to be a bit heavier, I'll change the down to 2 seconds. I mean 0.2 seconds. Now you see it's sort of a bit heavier. And I'll change up the time configuration to show you how it can make the walk look different. So here's an example. I change up the timing a little bit. So you can see here I've swapped some of these around, and in order to change your timing, you just click on the drop down, Other, and you can specify your time or select from one of the preset options over here. Alrighty, so I've changed up the default walk a little bit more. I've made every first and third frame a little bit longer. They last for 0.2 seconds instead of 0.1. So it seems a bit more casual now in terms of a walk. The other thing is you'll see he bobs a little bit more, and that is because I dragged a ruler down and I went to the two different down poses. I just made sure they were level with each other. I went to the two passing poses, made sure they were level to each other, and it gives me a bit more sort of continuity so that he looks like he's constantly bumping in the correct way instead of all hobbly. So now I'm just going to select all these frames and I want to make a GIF out of this. So I'll go File, I will go Save for Web. So over here it will show you a picture of your GIF, and it will also show you on the side your color table. So the more colors you have in your GIF, the more space it'll take up. And basically the color table will show you all the different colors that are going to be rendered when you make your GIF. Generally it's good to keep these a bit lower, and I'll show you some examples of lower ones just now. But anyways, I'm not really seeing anything over here in the preview. Maybe I need to zoom out a bit. That is strange. But anyways, I'm just going to set this to GIF. And these other settings don't really matter too much, but these are the default I usually have them on. And I'll hit save. And this is the other GIFs that I'll show you guys just now. So I'll just call this walk demo. And save. I'm just going to pause while I find that folder. Alrighty. So over here, you'll see that the walk cycle has been turned into a GIF. And there he is. If you want to change the animations of your walk, you would draw him in a little bit more sort of exaggeration. You'd use some of your principles of animation. My guy is very bland at the moment, but there he is doing his thing. And if you want to change this aspect ratio, what you would do is you would go in Photoshop itself, and you could either crop this entire sort of document, something a bit smaller. So if I hit this over here, I could crop it to that size. Or I believe there is a way of changing it when you render the GIF itself. But for me, I'm kind of impartial to the size. So over here, I've just got a few other examples of GIFs. And you can see how I've tried to limit the amount of colors in each of these, just so that it doesn't take up too much space. So this was for a game I was working on in a jam called Here Comes the Horde. And all these zombies are sort of color coded. So we've got an orange one here, we've got a purple one, and each of these are 4 frames. So our walk cycle that we just did was 8. These are all 4. And this is just how I planned them out, because these were done via Wacom tablet. Here's the yellow zombie. And when you put those pictures together, it forms what's known as a sprite sheet, which is a collection of all the individual images. So you can see over here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've tried to keep them in the same aspect ratio so that they're all the same size. Yep, and that is how I handle putting together different animations. And I firmly believe it's always best to start with a walk cycle first.